Alright, so we're continuing with our reading key strategies for the IELTS, and this is a second key strategy for the IELTS reading. So let's start by writing key reading strategy 2, and this will be paraphrasing. So first, let's talk about what paraphrasing actually is. Paraphrasing is to express the same idea using different words. The beginning of the word para means beside, phrase means words together, and ing is the noun. So it basically means the beside words that have the same meaning. For example, let's go, we should leave. So this is what paraphrasing is. Now, the second question we should ask is, why must we know paraphrasing for the IELTS exam, for the reading section as well as the other sections? So why should we know how to paraphrase? Well, the answer is because we need to understand information clearly. So to understand information clearly. And the second reason why we have to paraphrase is because, surprise, paraphrasing is the #1 tool used on the IELTS for the questions. What that means is when you read the passage, the questions will have similar or the same information as the passage, and you will have to recognize that it's the same information just using different words. So it is the tool used for the questions in the reading as well as the listening. Sections. So again, remember, paraphrasing is to say the same idea using different words. And why do you need to know this? Because it will help you to understand the information clearly. And when you do this kind of practice, you will realize that you're actually looking at a lot of the information in the questions, because the questions use paraphrasing to test your understanding. So this is an extremely important type of exercise that you should do before you go to the IELTS exam. Alright, so this is what paraphrasing is. This is why you need to paraphrase. Now, of course, our third question, which is very important, is how can we paraphrase? So let's look at that. So question 3 is how to paraphrase. Alright, I'm going to explain to you how to paraphrase in a few different ways, and I'll show you some examples for each. So on this side, I will write the method, which is the way to paraphrase, and on this side, I'll show you an example. So, of course, the first and most simple way to paraphrase is using synonyms. Synonym simply means to have a word which has a similar or the same meaning as another word. For example, big. And another way to say big is large, or huge, or enormous, and so on. So these are synonyms. Another way to paraphrase is the opposite. The opposite of a synonym is an antonym. Now, the question here is, how can you paraphrase using an opposite? Well, the way you can paraphrase using an antonym is you add a negative. So, for example, let's say you have the verb stay. The opposite of stay is go. And we can make go and stay the same by adding another negative. It's like -1 times -1 equals 1. So stay and don't go. Okay, so stay is the same as don't go. Antonym plus negative. Now, of course, another way that we can see paraphrasing is by using expressions, which includes things like idioms or phrasal verbs. And a simple example here of a phrasal verb paraphrasing, for example, is run into. Run into means to meet someone by accident. For example, I ran into my friend yesterday at the grocery store. And for this, we have an accurate verb, which is to encounter. All right, I'm going to show you one more way to paraphrase, and then we'll go to some practice. So another way that we can paraphrase, it's a student favorite, is grammar. So, for example, let's say we have a sentence which reads, I have visited France. Now, I have visited France is present perfect. It has the subject, it has the perfect verb have, it has the past participle visited, and then the object. It's a simple four-word sentence, but there's a lot of information in this sentence because it's present perfect. So I have visited France actually means I experienced visiting France in the past, and this continues to influence my life. Okay? So because it's present perfect, and present perfect is used to emphasize experiences, it actually means this entire sentence here. I experienced visiting France in the past, and this continues to influence or affect my life. Alright, so these are 4 ways of paraphrasing. There are more, but these are the 4 most important, especially in written language. So first we have synonyms like big, large. Then we have antonym negative, like stay, don't go. Then we can use some expressions, phrasal verbs, idioms, and so on, like run into is the same as encounter. And finally we have grammar. For example, I have visited France is I experienced visiting France in the past, and this continues to influence my life. Now, remember that the IELTS will use all 4 of these kinds of paraphrasing in the questions to test your understanding. So, for this reason, you should practice and know these different ways of paraphrasing. Think about it this way. If you're looking at an easy question, maybe the paraphrasing is just a synonym. If you're looking at a more difficult question in the IELTS, maybe the paraphrasing is an antonym negative, and maybe it's combined with some of these other types of paraphrasing. So that's how the people who make the IELTS can increase the difficulty of the questions by combining more than one type of paraphrasing in the question. So when you practice these and you can recognize these, for sure you will be able to complete the test faster with more confidence and more accuracy. Alright, so this is how you can paraphrase. When you're practicing, make sure to practice all these different kinds. Now, let's look at an example of paraphrasing and practicing paraphrasing for the reading section.